Well, hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheridan Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. Isn't that a beautiful sight? Absolutely gorgeous. I've always thought we're up here on top of the hill. This is not quite the highest point on the property. Second highest, I guess. I've always thought that this would be a beautiful place to build a house. Could you imagine getting up in the morning, drinking your coffee, and just sitting there and looking at that? Absolutely beautiful. Today we're up here. A few days ago, we moved the cows into this pasture right down here below me. Got a wire up right here. But up behind this wire, where you guys are sitting, is where we used to run our pigs. And we've got a lot of good grass in here. So I think what I'm going to do today is we're going to put up a wire around the back side over here. We're on top of the hill. There's a gully in the back. We're going to put us up a quick wire around the back side of this, around the rim, and we're going to let them have this area. And we're going to move our cows. And today, on that last video, y'all asked a lot of really good questions about cattle. And I thought today would be the perfect opportunity for us to go back and answer some of those questions. So if you asked a question, we're going to try to answer it right now. Or if you've got a burning question, maybe somebody else answered it, and we'll see if we can't answer that for you. And if you've got other questions, leave them in the comments down below, and we'll try to get to those in a future video. But for right now, they're ready to move. Let's get them a wire up, get them moved. We'll talk cattle. It's like they know what's about to happen. They're ready. So when we were up in West Virginia for the Homesteading Conference, the guys from Timeless Fence were there, and they had some of these handy dandy little doohickeys. And this is it's a metal post with 3 spikes on the bottom, put in the ground like that right there. And then it's got a place to hang, check this out, a place to hang your reel. I thought that right there was sexier than socks on a racehorse now. So I picked up 2 of them, and today is really the first opportunity that I've had to use one. But look at that. Can y'all see for that little cedar tree? So right there it is. I believe I got one in heat right there. Brownie's been trying to ride her all day. But that's 337, that's a boy. Maybe Brownie's in heat. Yeah, Brownie must be in heat. 337, 343. Yeah. But anyway, it's a post that you can hang your reel on, and the magic is in this little doohickey right here. Just got a little U-bolt, piece of metal, place to hang your reel right there. And then you can hang another one over here if you want to. So if you had one going the other way, you can do that. So, and that may be what we do whenever we let them across, is I may take this wire right here down to the bottom of the hill, hook it in down there, bring that reel to right here, and then we're off and running. So, all right, I got a wire. I think I need to fix a post or 2 out through there. So let's go do that. We'll let them across. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about y'all. We either do it right to your face or behind your back, up to you. You pick. Yep, I believe Brownie's in heat. She's got a little swelling around the female genitalia there. All right, move. Woo, cow! Woo, cow! So I need to fix the wire, but I just basically undid it down at the far end and laid it down so they can walk across. I'm gonna take all this dividing wire right here down. Brownie, or Penelope, get out of there, honey. There ain't nothing in there for you. Woo, cow. So we're looking for a couple to go here in a day or two. This guy right here is ready. So 265 is coming right here, and she is starting to look pregnant. Hereford, oh that's no, that's one of the Hereford boys. Harry went through up there. Boy, you looking like a mama, ain't you? Yeah, you are. Looking like a mama. All right, go ahead. Y'all go on now. Good cows. And looky there. What do they do? They go right to work. They go right to work. They know exactly what to do. All right, let's sit down and talk cows, and then I'll fix this wire right here, get it all fixed back, and they'll be set to go. But let's answer some of y'all's questions. All right, how's y'all's view right there? See okay? Real quick, a couple things we need to talk about. First off, don't have the best transition in the world for this. Camel City Mill. Best socks in the world, y'all. We've been talking about these socks for months on end now, and they've got some Black Friday specials coming up. 40% off their socks. If you've not tried some Camel City Mill socks, right now is the time. You will be the favorite aunt, uncle, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, third cousin, black sheep of the family if you give some folks some of these Camel City Mill socks. That's all we wear now. They wick sweat 35% better than any other sock on the market. Stay up on your calves. I wear the boot socks. I like them because they stay up on my calf. My boots aren't always eating them. 100% made right here in North Carolina, about an hour down the road. 10-year guarantee. Multiple colors, multiple sizes, shorts, talls, crews, all kinds of different options. Camel City Mill, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. Go get you some for Christmas, for the holidays. Black Friday special coming up, 40% off. Not seen a sale like this, probably won't see one again until next year. If you're wanting to try some Camel City Mill socks and you are budget conscious, now is the time. You're not going to get them any cheaper. Camel City Mill, appreciate them sponsoring this video. Also, give me a thumbs up if you've not, and check to make sure that you're subscribed. We've had some folks that have said they've been unsubscribed to the channel. So check your subscription status, click on that, ring that little bell. You'll get notifications when we're doing videos, all kinds of stuff going on. Trying to do a little more frequent content, doing some different stuff. Hope y'all like it. Leave us some feedback. Let us know what you like. All right. On the last video, well, not the last video, but the last cow video that we done, we had, like I said, a handful of questions. The title of the video was Start Raising Cattle Without Spending a Fortune. And towards the end of the video, I will leave a card up so that you can go click on that video and watch it. But a lot of folks asked a bunch of really good questions, and I thought, man, right now would be a great time to go through some of those and just talk cattle. So, first question, and I answered this one in a reply. This one was from Stan6868. Do you feel a person could work full time and raise a few with only an hour or two in the evening? Stan, absolutely. We've got some really good friends that are, now they've been in it for a while, and they've got a lot of infrastructure, and they've done a lot of things over the years to make this easier and to make it possible for them, that are running 200 and 300 head that are still working off farm public jobs. He works in construction, she's a teacher, couple of grown kids, and they've been raising cows for years and years and years, and still working a regular job. Yes, you can. The degree to which you do it is going to be dependent upon the degree that you have infrastructure and how you made that thing easy. Have you got water points set up? Have you got good fence? Are you moving regular? A lot of different variables there. But can it be done? Absolutely, it can be done. I've heard Greg Judy talk about this. When he was first getting started in the cattle, had gone through a bad divorce and all that kind of thing, he was working a job in town, and he had leased some different properties on the way between home and work. And on the way home in the afternoons, he would stop on his way home after work and move cows. And that was how he got started. So yes, absolutely, it can be done. What breed of cattle do you raise? What we have right now is primarily either Angus or Hereford. I've got a couple of oddball jokers back here that were some old dairy cows, Penelope and Brownie, but they've been real good cows. Everything else is either Black Angus or a Red Angus cross, so Angus, and then Hereford. I've got the 1 Hereford bull and the 3 Hereford steers, and I think that's probably the direction we're going to go. We're going to end up going back with a few more Hereford. I talked to another farmer this week about maybe buying some Hereford cows and Hereford heifers. So we'll see how all that works out, but that's the breed of cattle that we raise. How many acres are we using for how many cows? Right now, let's see, let me tell you, what breed that was from So Lovable 1 IFY, and then Beautiful Property. How many acres are you using for how many cows is MDS loads, MDS loads. Right now, I've got 12 head. And we're running all together on about 30 acres. We are way understocked. Our stocking density is very, very low right now. Looking, like I said, looking to buy some more, need to buy some more. Got a couple more of these that are going to go away first of next week. So we need some cows, but we are way understocked right now. In our area, the recommended stocking density is 1 cow, 1 animal unit per acre, and an animal unit being 1,000 pounds. So if you had so for us, let's say 30 acres, if we had 500-pound steers, we could run 60 of those. But we couldn't run them for long because they're going to continue to gain weight and take up more of that room. But we could finish off 30 1,000-pound steers, essentially, is what that would boil down to, under ideal conditions, of course. Someone here, MC Chupac 9718. Missed you guys for a while. Do I need to be USDA certified to butcher my own chicken and sell it? How about cattle and pork? On the chicken, in North Carolina, you do not have to be USDA inspected to sell chicken unless you sell over, I think it's 20,000 birds, and we've never reached that point. Every state is a little bit different. I would suggest that you reach out to your local agriculture extension agent, find out what the regulations are in your state for chicken. I think there is a state or two that requires USDA inspection for chicken. North Carolina, we don't have any USDA inspected chicken processing facilities. Now for cattle and pork, yes, we do take that to a USDA inspected facility. Piedmont Custom Meats, we've talked about them. We've been with those guys for years. Love the work that they do. They've always been really, really good to us. And we do have our beef and our pork processed at a USDA inspected facility. There are other options on that. We do that because we do occasionally sell across state lines, and that just makes everything nice and clean for us. So again, your local ag extension agent is your best source of information for finding out about all those regulations and that kind of thing. A.S. Clark 0970, what breed of cattle? I think we talked about that. Heather 9984, you mentioned that you let your cattle graze too long. How do you know when too long is too long? I've always wondered. Well, rotational grazing, knowing when to move cattle, knowing how much ground to give cattle, is really, it's much, much more than an art than it is a science, and it's something that you learn over time. I left those cows over there on that other field for too long because I could tell that they had eaten most of the forage. Now, generally what we want to see, and they've been on this spot for too long, generally what we want to see them eat 60%, we want to see them push over 20%, and we want to see them leave about 20%. That's a good rule of thumb. And if you can look at your pasture and see that, then you're probably okay. Over there, we ate about 90% of the forage. So we left them on too long. They've probably been here about right. There's still some grasses along the edges and down off the side of the hill here that they've not gotten to yet, so we're probably okay here. It was time for them to move on to this back field. They'll be here for a couple of days because then we've got to take them down, catch them, and we got to load a couple up to take to the butcher. So I'm watching them. They're behind y'all, just watching what they're doing. They're just walking along grazing. It's a beautiful sight. So rotational grazing, knowing when to move, how much they've eaten, did they graze too much, not graze enough, really is as much an art as it is a science. And I am a novice with a crayon, just to be quite honest with you. Have you ever thought about raising hair sheep? If not, why not? Enjoy all your videos. This is Arkansas Fast Trail Riders 9774. Yes, we've raised some hair sheep. I kept sheep for a while when we were on our other farm down in Greensboro, and I learned really quick sheep find new and interesting ways to die. We had predator problems, we had parasite problems, and we just did not do well with sheep. And I found that actually there was a little bit more money in the live animal than there was in the packaged lamb. We would take a lamb or a sheep mutton to process. It cost me about $120 to get it processed. I'd end up with about 40 pounds of packaged meat. I mean, if we got that much, and we would just have to charge crazy prices to even break even on the things by the time we'd bought them or raised them and fed them and cared for them and all the stuff we had to do, and then processed them and then try to recoup on our labor plus make a little profit. It just didn't work. Didn't work for me. Not saying it won't work for you. Not saying it won't work in the right context, but for me, it was not a thing. Honeybee Mom, you may not need to spend tons to have cows, but at the price of cattle right now, who can afford to buy any to get started? That's a great point. Cattle are still high. I've not looked at prices in the past few days, but cattle are still high, and it is kind of expensive to get into them. If you did decide that you want to get into cows and you wanted to raise some and you were not in a hurry, I would recommend finding me a couple of bred cows or a couple of bred heifers. You usually can pick those up for a little more reasonable, plus you're getting a cow and you're going to get a calf. Fingers crossed, all things go well, you're going to get a calf. So you're really kind of getting a 2-for-1 purchase there. Some of the best deals are 3-in-1s, a cow with a calf on its side that's been bred back. Those can be good deals. But the thing, this is something that I've heard some farmers talk about in buying cows, especially if you're selling direct to consumer. Consider the cost of that cow in its salvage value whenever you're going to buy it. And what that means is, if you buy a cow, bred heifer, 3-in-1, whatever the case may be, and you don't get any more calves, she turns out to be a dud, she's not going to be a good mama for you. If you were to process her and put her in hamburger, can you recoup your money? And right now, with the price of beef the way it is, we can do that. I could go out and buy a bred heifer, bred cow, bring her in here, she loses that calf and I can't get her bred back, I can turn her into hamburger and I can make my money back on her. So, and again, that's based on my market, based on my context, my process, my prices, the whole 9 yards. So that it can be done. The price of beef is high right now, which is causing the price of cattle to be high right now. So it all kind of comes out in the wash. And then, the investment part of it, you say who can afford it? If you want to do it bad enough, you'll make sacrifices to save a few pennies. You'll cut back on the DoorDash and cut back on the $7 coffees, and going to the movies, and maybe get rid of a streaming service or two and some of those kinds of things. You can dig through your couch, pick up an extra job here and there. You can save up enough money. And if you've got the ground and you can't scratch up enough money to buy cows, offer to graze somebody else's. Offer to another farmer. He may have more cows than he's got ground to graze on. Offer to do some custom grazing. That's a great way to get into the cow business, start making a little bit of money, and before long you've made a little bit and you can go buy your own cow or two and then buy you a bull, and just build up on it. None of this stuff is done overnight. None of it's done overnight. There's got to be an element of patience to a whole lot of this. And sometimes I have trouble with that. You know, I want my herd to be growing right now, but if I breed a cow, it's 9 months before I get a calf if all goes well. So it can be done, just takes a little sacrifice. Nancy Rasmussen 2016, do different cow breeds taste different? What are good breeds for a small farm to grow out? My dad was a cattle buyer. We went to farms to check cows, tested if they're ready to go on, tossed if ready to go on load. I was too young to go. I was in school. He's up in heaven. Can't ask him all these questions. Let's start with the beginning. Do different cow breeds taste different? I can't tell a difference. There are some studies that say that any kind of cow, and I'm not pooing on nothing or nobody. Let me be clear. I'm not speaking ill of anybody or anything. There are some studies that indicate that a cow that has some Brahma influence does have a higher shear test, meaning that beef will be a little bit tougher. I've eaten Angus, I've eaten Hereford, I've eaten Holstein, and when you peel the hide back, it's all beef. When you grind it up especially, it's all ground beef. So I personally can't tell the difference. Wagyu, some people say Wagyu is better. I don't know. That's never really been something we've been concerned with. We've been concerned with raising animals in a good environment, on grass, treating them right, regular moves, sunshine, water, and letting the good Lord do the rest. So far, seems to be working out pretty good. What are some good breeds for a small farm to grow out and butcher? Dexter's, a little smaller frame cow, those are good. A lot of folks like those. Also a little bit of a dual purpose, milk and meat. There's a miniature Hereford, depending on how small you are. There are miniature Herefords, Aberdeen Angus, which is a smaller frame cow. Those do well. If you're on small acres, don't have a lot of ground, I would stay away from some of the bigger breeds. You know, some of the Charolais can get pretty big. Some of these Herefords can get pretty big, especially the bulls. So you may just have to kind of experiment with that a little bit and figure out, figure out what breed. South Pole, that's a smaller frame cow. Figure out what does best on your property and on your ground. Sue EC6UN, weight 250 pounds of waste, that disturbs me. Well, we had 250 pounds of ground in trim. We had a whole lot of steaks, a whole lot of roasts, so in trim, and then we did elect to grind some of that big red, so we had a little more ground than we normally would have, but we were very happy with that. So it was not waste. So yeah, we were okay with that. Going rate for hanging beef in your area, right now we are on, and now this includes everything. This is butcher, transport, the whole deal. We are $9 a pound on a half, $10 a pound on $9 a pound on a whole, $10 a pound on a half, and that includes, that's the whole deal. That's us raising the cow, taking it to butcher, dealing with the butcher, picking it back up, paying butcher fee. We cover the butcher fees inside of that, the whole deal. We covered all on that. Angel Shepherd, did I hear it was Sondra's birthday? No, mine was a couple weeks ago. Is your reel grounded to the gate? No, it is. So when I hung up my reel down there on the back side, I hung it on a gate. Was it grounded to that? No, it was not. I didn't wrap it around the hook. I just hooked the hook into the gate, so it was not grounded. It was not grounded at all. John Frassa, how do you go from talking beef to camel socks? I just find new ways to do that, John. All right. And then we had a couple questions about pigs, and we're getting some more questions about pigs. Yeah, we did have a couple of some pork that we sold there. We've got a couple of partner farms that raise pigs like we do that we're buying some slaughter ready pigs from right now. Sondra is considering buying a couple of sows and getting back into breeding and having some piglets. So we may be doing that. That was part of the reason for some of the work that we were doing down there around that old cattle barn to get the piping in and get that water issue taken care of. So yeah, we'll see what happens with pigs, but nothing right now, nothing firm, just some talk, just a little bit of talk. Let me spin y'all around here. We'll take a last look at them, see what they're doing, and call it good. All right, here we are. They love that new grass. We've got a bunch of pigweed growing up in here, but there's a lot of grass down underneath that. So they'll come in here and find it and eat it. So they'll clean a lot of this up. This will look really nice in a day or two after they've had a chance to stomp on it and work it over. But man, those Hereford sure are looking good, ain't they? Man. All right, y'all, there's some of your cow questions answered. If you've got other questions about raising cattle, raising pigs, raising chickens, leave those in the comments down below, and we may do this from time to time. Just go through our videos and look at comments and pull out questions and just do a little Q&A. That may be something kind of fun and educational to do, and might help somebody out. So, like we always say, please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.